an ounce as we speak. Americans are running from the tax man. Every day, more than 1,000 U.S. residents pack their suitcases and move from low-growth, high-tax states, according to the American Legislative Exchange Council study, Rich States, Poor States. Joining me now from Washington, D.C. is co-author of the study and Wall Street Journal senior economics writer, Stephen Moore. Stephen, it is great to see you. Let me guess who the losers are in all of this, the high-tax states. I think we could take a look at them. But who are the winners in this, what you've identified as a migration away from high-tax areas to lower-tax areas?
Hi, Dagan, great to be with you, and I'm a big fan of the show, so thanks for having me on. You know, it's really amazing. If you look at these states in the Northeast, you know, states like New York and New Jersey and Massachusetts, they're losing people. California, by the way, is one of the big losers, which is a tragedy. And this is a state for decades where people were moving to, and now I think because of these really high tax rates, people are moving out. Now, who are the winners? That's a really good question. Dagan, there are 9 states in the United States today that have no income tax at all. As somebody who lives in the Northeast, I think you could probably appreciate that. And those states are states like Florida and Nevada and Tennessee and Wyoming, New Hampshire. And those are the states that have really been booming and getting a lot of the tax exiles from these other states.
But recently, haven't people been moving out of Florida, and they're called halfbacks? They move halfway back to the Northeast because of the decline in the housing market. So there are other factors you have to work in when you do this analysis, other than just the tax rates.
Well, it's interesting because if you look over the last decade, Dagan, there's no question that states like Florida and Nevada and Arizona did very well. And you're exactly right. What happened, I think, was there was a kind of euphoria in the housing market in those areas. And so now those states have actually seen a little bit of a decline as they overbuilt and overdeveloped. But I still think if you're kind of trying to compare what states are likely to have the most bullish run in the next 5 or 10 years, you want to look at those states that have low taxes, low regulations. I mean, literally, there are thousands of businesses that have moved out of California to states like, I left out Texas, by the way, which has been one of the biggest winners of all in this. Texas has no personal income tax, has very low regulation and low spending. And well, the point of all this is, Dagan, is these things matter. Taxes do matter, regulations do matter to businesses. And the other factor we found was really important was being a right-to-work state, so that you don't have forced unionization. A lot of companies that are looking to relocate, they won't even look at a state like New York or New Jersey that's not right to work.
This study, Stephen, though, begs the question, as a nation, are we going to run into trouble where people not only move to other states, but they move to other nations? Nearby they might be, but it becomes easier to telecommute and easier to work from home.
Well, there's no question about it. And one of the things that we've been seeing, you know, as the threat of higher taxes, as you know, the president wants to raise the dividend and capital gains and personal income tax rate next year. That's, in my opinion, Dagan, driving capital out of the United States to other nations. That's one of the reasons, in my opinion, the dollar is declining. And it's exactly the opposite of what we saw in the 1980s. When Reagan cut tax rates from 7 to 28%, we saw a deluge of capital and immigration into the United States as the United States became a very pro-investment climate. And so that's the thing that I don't think anybody in Washington is paying attention to. How is the United States doing on taxes and regulation and things like cap and trade relative to other countries?
Very important insight, both in this country and looking at the world. Stephen, it was great to see you. Please come back more often.
Thanks, Dagan. I guess you're going to have to get out of the Northeast.
I know. I'm looking at Vegas or the Caribbean.
And Orlando.
Yes, exactly. Stephen Moore, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wall Street Journal senior economics writer. Our American